All right, good stuff. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. 1 second. All right, so good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another morning here, another trading day. So happy for you guys all to join in. Today is going to be a much busier day than yesterday. Etsy, TWLO, ONCE, WTW. There's a ton of earnings plays today, and that's exactly what we like to see, a day that's filled with different opportunity. And that is exactly what we have today. It's good. Yesterday ended up actually being one of my biggest green days in probably the past 2, maybe 3 months. Yesterday, I ended up finishing my day just shy of $7,000 profit. So the video I'd uploaded actually in the afternoon, but the video of our live trading session yesterday in the first kind of 30 minutes of the day did not trade well at all, ended up getting hit and was down 2,000 on the day. And then somehow was able to, after the first hour, bring it all back, started making some small wins, got into my mojo, and then just trade after trade after trade after trade, nailed it, and was able to walk and finish the day up almost $7,000. So it just goes to show that you can be down on the day and still turn positive, but to do that, you have got to have a clear mind. So it's not every day that you're going to go from $2,000 to up 7,000. Okay, it's not a common thing to see. Okay, and for one, it's very hard to do because when you're down $2,000 on the day, you're already feeling poorly about your trading decisions, obviously. So to go from $2,000 down to up $7,000, it's not easy to do. So just understand that because I've done that, I'm not encouraging that when you're down in the day, you should keep trading. I just knew that the trades that I was losing on, I wasn't really making massive mistakes. There were just small errors that I knew I could whittle out if I just got my mind right. And I was able to do that and bounce back. But just know when you're down on the day, especially $2,000, it can seriously affect your emotions and the way that you're thinking, your thought process, and it can cause you to get into dumb trades and do stupid things. And that's where you'll end up having a bigger red day if you don't stop. So I know myself pretty well. I've been trading for a while, and I know when I need to stop, and I know when I can kind of still kind of push the buttons a little bit. So anyways, yesterday was a phenomenal day. Whenever I have a massive green day like I did yesterday, the next day I tend to trade poorly. Statistically speaking, I know from previous and past experience that every time I have a massive green day, the next day it's either just a basic day or ends up being a red day. And so maybe it's the confidence getting to my head. Maybe I jumped the gun too soon when I'm trading. Whatever it actually is, I got to try and cut that out today. There's a lot of plays today. And when there's a lot of plays, sometimes I get carried away looking at too many stocks, and then I trade even worse. So I'm going to try and tone it back a little bit and then try and do what I need to do. All right. So with that being said, let's get into it. All right. I'm going to share the screen. There's a lot of stocks to go over. All right. Here we are. All right. I do trade Facebook. I didn't trade it yesterday. I know it went crazy yesterday. I didn't actually trade it. All right, 1 second. Here we go. So first one on the list is Etsy. So Etsy, pretty big gap up this morning. Let me get some of this other stuff out of the way that we don't need. All right, guys. So here we go. Etsy, big gap up this morning. On my chart, I already have the levels mapped off. All right. So if you want to take the time just to map these different levels off that I have mapped off, that would be the quickest approach. But I will explain it. So you have your pre-market high at $47.80. You should mark that off. You have a pre-market resistance here of $47.28. You have a pre-market support at $45.77 on Etsy. And then you also have like another little possible support bounce area here at 45. So in my personal opinion, I believe that we're going to see Etsy pop to the upside today. I see it more of a long trade today. And just because I think it's long doesn't mean we're going like that, right? Doesn't mean we're just going to shoot up right out of the gates. On all gap ups and gap downs, I play them primarily the same, right? I usually try not to get FOMO in the beginning when I see it pop up, right? I try my best not to get FOMO and want to hop in, because on the big gap ups and big gap downs, what you'll typically tend to see is something like this, right? Where it pops up and then everybody tries to short it and then it comes back around and then it goes long. So that's what I'm going to tell you today is look for a dip buy or a pullback on Etsy before trying to buy it long. Okay. If it just shoots up out of the gates and you want to get in, fine by me. But I'm always on these gap ups like this, more patient on waiting for a pullback to get in on a better price. Okay. Always looking to get in at a better price. So for me personally, if I trade Etsy today, I will be looking for it to pop up to the pre-market high, reject, come down to some previous supports, and then get in on a dip buy. Do understand that Etsy is into a 52-week high. So you need to go based off of every whole dollar and half dollar mark as your resistance points when and if it breaks over the high of $47.80. Next one on the list, TWLO. TWLO, big gap up. In my personal opinion, this is going to be a long bias play for the day. I'll take a look at VSell real fast. Yeah, nope. Yeah, that's way too low volume. We'll not trade that. All right, so TWLO, massive gap up from $63 all the way to a pre-market high of $75.50. All right, so for me personally, this is a long bias trade, but the price of TWLO has gone up quite a bit. So I know that there's other traders that are thinking, hey, this is up, like over $10 a share. It's a very strong possibility that this is going to dump out of the gates and I can short it, right? So with the stock being up this big, it's very possible you're going to see an early morning sell-off and then a dip buy. The dip buy, that is what I'm looking for right there, is the dip buy. Okay, that's what I want in on before I'm getting long. Now, of course, if the dip buys don't happen and you see the setup, of course, always take it. But what I'm telling you is to be cautious of trying to get in right at the gate on this because it's up over $10 a share. Imagine if you're holding 10, or imagine if you had, right? Imagine yesterday if you just happened to be a person that bought 1,000 shares, right? Let's say you bought 1,000 shares yesterday of Zillow. That means today you went from like 63 to 75. That means you're up over $10,000 profit. That's if someone bought 1,000 shares yesterday, this morning they're up over $10,000. To think that someone who made $10,000 overnight is not going to sell at least some of their shares, that's naive, right? There probably will be a little bit of an early morning slump or sell-off, okay? Okay, so again, there's a lot to understand there. So look for a sell-off first on TWLO. So you might even be able to get in an early morning out of the gate short, followed by a long play. All right, HMNY, what about HMNY? So if I had to discuss HMNY, I would tell you to take it off your watch list, never consider trading it ever, and completely forget about it. And then if anybody else asks you, what about HMNY, you should tell them the same. And then if you're in a Facebook group or someone's thinking about trading it, you should tell them not to trade it. And then you should go to Vistaprint. You should pay, I don't know, maybe $10,000 to have little business cards made that say, absolutely do not trade HMNY. And then we should mail them to everybody that lives in the United States and in other countries. That is actually how I feel about HMNY, and is in no way, shape, or form to disappoint you or aggravate you, Super Blue 24. I'm just telling you, in reality, that HMNY is a dog crap company that you should not be trading, even based off of how cheap the price is. The reason the stock is so cheap is because the company is not good. Okay. Back when HMNY was like $37 or $40 a share, you can actually go back to my YouTube channel. If any of you guys go, you can mark my words. If you go to my YouTube channel, I made a video, I don't know, maybe a year ago, when HMNY was at its peak, the highest it had ever been. Like, well, maybe not the highest ever been, but it was at its peak, like $40. I made a YouTube video before the price ever even started coming down. I made a video about HMNY and said, this is the big short and the stock will fall all the way back down to $2 a share. And today it trades in pennies. And so that is how I feel about HMNY. Back a year ago, I said that this is going to be a massive short and this is a pump and dump. Sure enough, we ran up to $40 or so on HMNY, maybe 37, something like that, and ended up crashing. And I'll show you. Here it is. Where'd it go? This was it. The reason the price is so high is because of the reverse split it went through. But back when HMNY was right here, I said that it was going to trade all the way back down to like right here. So kudos to me, but at the end of the day, what's it really matter? I didn't short it all the way down. So that's how I feel about HMNY. Do not mess with it. Also, secondly, you see all this volume, right? You see why there's so much volume nowadays, which isn't even really that much volume, right? The reason there's so much volume now, right here, is because everybody in the world can afford HMNY. It's a stock that everybody can afford, so a lot of people are going to trade it, which means you're getting less experienced traders trading the stock, which means they don't really even know a lot of times what they're doing. So they're disregarding support levels, disregarding resistance levels. So the stock can trade on its own, a mind of its own, because you'd have people trading it that don't know what they're doing. That's another thing that you'll run into with very cheap penny stocks sometimes. All right, so back to TWLO. Again, to me, looks like a long play. We're into a 52-week high. So at this point, you should pay attention to every whole dollar mark going up. All right. AKER, thank you, Joel. Or was it Joel or Daniel? Thank you about AKER. Yeah, that was another one. Yeah, Daniel, you can trade after hours and pre-market on Robinhood, yes. All right, guys, so the next one on the list is ONCE. So ONCE is a big gap down from 79 to low of 53. I'm going to quickly talk about this because we're running out of time. So big gap down here, ONCE from 79 to 53. This is a therapeutics company that came out with their earnings, right? You can see bounce, 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 bounce. Okay, this thing's probably going to try and go lower. So for me personally, this is a short bias trade. ONCE, it has to break down $53 before we see it go lower. And if it does go lower, I think we'll probably see ONCE at about a low of $50 today. If it does for sure want to break down, I would say $50 is going to be kind of the low point for the day before it kind of stops moving to the downside. So that's kind of my target for ONCE is, probably about $50, right? And right now it's kind of has this downward trend line. So, we might see ONCE do something like this, right? Kind of travel, bounce, do something like this. And then once it, it should pick a direction, right? Do be careful because these gap downs can squeeze and they can do whatever they want, right? Last one, not last one, but almost there. Next one on the list is Zillow. Zillow, same thing, big earnings play, gapping down. We'll look, thinking short bias. We'll be watching Zillow short bias. Right now, it kind of has like a small little uptrend here pre-market, which really is basically irrelevant. I won't even put it on there. But again, this is going to be a short play that I'm watching, looking to short it. Right, I want to see Zillow below 46. My short entry will probably be up here, or even up here possibly, because I do anticipate what's going to happen is we're going to stay up here. We're going to try and push a little higher. It's going to reject, fail, roll over. So the entry short is up here, right? So your entry should be short somewhere in the 50s, maybe even 49. your short entry should not be at 46, okay? Right, so this is where the support's at. This is where we're probably going to have a little bit of a bounce. Around $46, $45 a day is where I think we'll see a little bit of a bounce on TWLO. All right, next one on the list is WTW, which is Weight Watchers. So Weight Watchers is kind of just there because it has good range. I'm not a huge fan of its its movement pre-market. It isn't an earnings play. It gapped down from 94 to a low of 83. So it has a lot of range and there's a lot of money to be made on it. The only issue with this one is the chart's kind of choppy, right? We went down, we went all the way back up, we came down some more, then we're all the way back up. So it's kind of just like a choppy, hard to read chart. So all I can say for this one, at least, is it has a clear resistance here pre-market at about $90 and maybe 70 cents. So as long as Weight Watchers stays below probably about $91, I would say stay more short bias on the stock. I won't go into too much detail because I probably won't even trade this myself. I may or may not, just kind of depends on what the setup looks like. But I would just watch Weight Watchers short personally. All right, guys, so that's all the watch list. Now, I know that I don't have, we're at about 8:55. I know I went over things pretty quick. There's a lot of stocks today to go over, but I think we did a pretty good job at, showing you guys all the different stocks to keep an eye on and things like that. Again, it's never 100%. Guys, I am never 100% correct. So if at any point I'm ever wrong on an analysis of a stock, just understand it's not you have no idea what I have no clue what's going to happen on stock on any given day. I just been doing it long enough to get an idea of what is a good possibility of happening or a good chance that it might happen. And then you watch the stock. And if it does start doing what you thought it would do, and then it starts to reject or bounce off the level you thought it would, then yeah, you take the trade because it looked like what you were thinking is right. If it was wrong, who gives a shit? Right? So that's another thing, right? Don't if you're ever talking to someone that said a stock was going to do this and it doesn't, right? Don't bash the person because they were wrong and the stock didn't do that. It happens to me all the time. You know what? I could care less about what someone has to say about a stock doing this or not doing that. It is almost entirely impossible to project 100% every time what's going to happen to a stock. Okay, it's just not, right? I mean, like, I could say that the Cavaliers, right, or well, now that LeBron James is going to the Lakers, right, I could say, oh, LeBron James and the Lakers are easily going to just demolish the Detroit Pistons this year because the Pistons have all rookies, right? It's pretty easy to go, oh, well, you have all-stars against rookies. Who's going to win? Yeah, that's pretty easy. But what happens if 5 minutes before the game, all of the all-stars on the Lakers get hurt? They all roll their ankle and can't play. Whoever bet that the Lakers were going to win just got blown out of their money out of some random event that happened. And that's the same thing the way the market is. Let me ask you this, guys. When a stock doesn't do something you were thinking of, are you just like, wow, I was wrong? Or it's not that you're wrong. You have, for one, you have institutional traders, right? You have institutional traders, you have retail traders, you have, private investment firms, you have financial planners. So let's think about them all. You have, for one, you have the retail trader, you have day traders, you have swing traders, you have long-term investors, you have scalp traders, big institutions, you have private investment firms, you have financial planners and financial managers, and then you have shady big-time investors that manipulate stocks. You have people that have insider information that can also do crazy things. So you have 10 or so different people in the market. Not 10 people, but think about that. that's basically getting into a basketball game with a lacrosse player, a football player, a hockey player. How the hell do you think that basketball game is going to go? It'd be very hard to understand and project every move in which that game's going to go when you have so many different people and different traders trading. Okay. That's why don't ever beat yourself up if you're wrong on a stock, or if you're not sure which way it's going to go in this. There are so many factors that go into a stock and the way it moves this way and why it moves this way. And it's going to squeeze here because the shorts are getting squeezed out, or it's going to dump here because of stop loss. There is so much to it, right? There's so much to trading. So you're never going to be right 100% of the time. But what you can be right about is watching the stock. Charts, price action, order flow, those are things that do not lie, okay? Those are things that don't lie. Exactly, cut losses. And here's another thing, guys, and I'll touch on real quick, and then I gotta go. Here's another thing. Like yesterday, for example, right? In the video that I uploaded, like the live trading, by the time I was down $2,000, I don't even know how many trades I took, honestly. Like I lose count some days. But I trade quite a bit. Some days I'll make 20 trades. Hell, it might even be like I've done days where it's 25. Granted, you're kind of definitely over trading at that point. But the common mistake with over trading is that when you're over trading, you're usually losing money, A, from commission, but B, because you're probably red on the day, and then you start revenge trading to get back your money, and then you start to over trade, right? But with that being said, if you're in control of your trading and you're doing really well, then what's over trading? So if you're saying I could pick and choose when I want to make money as much as I want to make it, why would somebody stop trading, right? If the market was on fire all day long, every single day, I would probably sit there and trade the market all day long, every single day, as long as I knew there was money to be made. But the reason you don't overtrade is because at about lunchtime, 1, 2, things slow down and it becomes a little bit more challenging to make money, to the point where there is no point to try and make money. Okay, overtrading, people say don't overtrade. Well, overtrading is only a bad thing if you're losing and if you're not in control of your trading. There's no difference from your first trade of the day to your fifth. No, there's no difference between the first trade of the day or the 50th trade of the day. The only difference from the first trade to the 50th trade is the mindset. Okay, there is no difference between buying and selling on your first trade or your 50th trade of the day. The only difference is then from your first to your 50th is your mind. What has taken place from trade number 1 to trade 50? The only thing that can change is either winning and losing money, which then will affect the mindset you're in, and then you can start losing money. So just know that if you're in control of your trading, you can trade as much as you want, right? As long as you're making money, respectively, okay? So it's all a mind game, right? So put it into perspective. So like yesterday, by the time I was down $2,000 of the day, I was down quite a bit. And at that point, I've already traded quite a bit. Like I did trade quite a bit, and I should have been green with the amount of trades I took. So I took a break, and then I came back and I traded the best I have in 2 months, $7,000, just like that. Trade after trade after trade after trade. So would you then argue that because I was over, it was a bad idea to over trade yesterday? If I didn't, I would have never been green. I would have been down $2,000. So again, it's all a game of understanding yourself, and just know that there's really no such thing as over trading until you're losing money, and then you're trading too much and you're not making profit, right? I could tell you that working a 9 to 5 and going to work for 40 hours a week is overworking. But since everybody does it, everybody will look at me and go, this is a regular thing. It's 40 hours a week. Yeah, but to me, that's way too much. To somebody else, 5 trades might be too much, whereas 20 trades for somebody else is just perfect. Okay? With that being said, I must go. Thank you guys all again for tuning in. I will have another video uploaded of today's recap of the trading day. If you guys would like to join our private group, as always, it's the first link in the description below. I don't think I have anything else more to say this morning. I will catch you guys all tomorrow morning, hopefully after another green day. All right, take care.